Newly released body camera footage. What you are seeing is the intense moment a Superior man opened fire on police officers back in December. Good evening, I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Dan Wolf. Thanks for joining us. That body camera footage shows a chain of events ending with a van driving into Superior Middle School and an officer shot.
You'll remember during a traffic stop following a domestic call, 28-year-old suspect Dylan Wallace shot at officers before fleeing the scene. He is now charged with several felonies, including attempted murder.
Northern News Now, Sophia Lauber heard from the Superior Police Chief today during a news conference.
She joins us live now from the scene of that shooting. Sophia, what did you learn from this new video?
Laura and Dan, that video that was shared with the police to the public today gave a clear picture of the chain of events the night of the shooting. Right now, I'm on the corner of 37th and Tower. Video shows Wallace getting out of his van here behind me on 37th and then shooting at officers down Tower. He then gets back in his van and then drives off here heading east down 37th, eventually crashing into the Superior Middle School. Body camera footage shows the moment suspect Dylan Wallace exits his van on 37th Street with an AK-47, striking a Superior officer 3 times. One bullet actually hit her radio, preventing her from communicating to her partners. Superior Police Chief Paul Winterscheidt says 29 shell casings from guns allegedly in Wallace's possession were found on scene. The department released video of the incident at a press event on Thursday, citing transparency. Winterscheidt also praised the actions of his officers.
Absolutely proud of them and in awe. I don't think anybody knows how they would respond in this sort of incident. I don't think anybody knows until the moment they go through it. And these officers are young officers.
Between the 3 officers at or near the shooting scene, Winterscheidt says the most experienced officer had less than 4 years of service. He credits their training for the quick response shown in the video.
We've trained our officers in how to react to these sudden ambushes, how to exit their vehicle efficiently, how to return fire under those very trying circumstances.
The department released the name of one officer involved in the shooting, Ben Olson, who was originally with the domestic assault victim when the gunshots rang out nearby. You can see on his body camera here as he is running toward the scene.
Shots fired. I need more officers here now.
The names of the 2 officers who were fired at by Wallace are being withheld to protect their privacy as victims in the case. Winterscheidt says while protecting the victims is a priority, he believes the public deserves a factual understanding of the event.
And this involved one of our schools. This involved a very busy intersection in town. This is a highly unusual event for our community. The public has an absolute interest and right to know how the officers responded to this situation.
Olson and one of the other officers involved have returned to work. The female officer who was shot remains on leave for an undetermined amount of time. Live in Superior, Sophia Lauber, Northern News Now.
Video is shocking to see. Thank you, Sophia. The investigation conducted by the Wisconsin Department of Criminal Investigation is now wrapped up. The case is in the hands of the district attorney's office.
We'll have the full video of the night's events right now on our website. Well, Superior Police also again released new footage of this moment when Wallace intentionally crashed his van into Superior Middle School. He rammed the building twice before getting out of the van. As you can see here, he walking into the school with a rifle in hand. That's where he was eventually taken into custody. The school remained closed in the immediate aftermath. Now, one of the victims in the officer-involved shooting video you just saw there is the former girlfriend of Dylan Wallace. She sat down with Northern News Now for an exclusive interview about that night. You can watch that interview by downloading our Northern News Now app.